Hey, everybody. This is a We Are Rising podcast that you're listening and watching now. This is your host, Andrew Bendrin. I am joined by my faceless co-host, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Fights. And also voiceless co-host, Jay Christian Gary.
Yeah. I know. I'm a bit preoccupied right now, okay? I'll be back with y'all in a moment.
No problem, Chris. Glad you're here. But with us, we got returning guest, Grant Bogdanove, who will be taking on Koichiro Yamashita at Art 2, March 26th. The show will be available on Tiget, however you pronounce it, and it'll be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu super fight in the gi. Grant, once again, thank you so much for taking your time out to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. It's great to be back on the We Are Rising podcast. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. So, I mean, already quick turnaround from your first, from your other art. Was that art, or is that, because I know there's two different companies that are doing these jiu-jitsu things, right? What's the other one called? Kinyasa Club or something like that?
So yeah, it's kind of hard to keep track of all the acronyms, but there's KIT, and then there's ART.
That's it.
Right now, those are the two organizations here that are doing super fights in the gi.
And you'll be taking on Koichiro Yamashita, another black belt from Carpe Diem Fukuoka. You're taking on are you trying to go through everybody from Carpe Diem at this point? Because I think you've taken on quite a few at this point in your career.
I didn't call anyone out specifically this time. I just asked if they had any matchups for me, and so this is the one that came. So it may seem like I'm trying to go through the entire ranks of all the Carpe Diems, but no, that is not my goal or anything.
Gotcha. And so just curious to know, I mean, we talked about your last fight, but are you again preparing for a jiu-jitsu fight? Anything that you're doing with this fight that you're doing differently than your other super fights that you've had? Anything new, different, or is it all just same as usual?
So one thing I did change in my routine is I began to take a multivitamin. It's very small, but I actually don't supplement at all with anything. And I haven't until I started taking just like a normal multivitamin, no protein powder or anything. It surprises people, but yeah, I'm gonna try this, and then I might even get into supplementation like pretty hard. Like I might get into like on it and stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, what pushed you to start doing the supplementation?
I get tired a lot, training too much, working too much, not sleeping enough. And so I thought that if I had some extra vitamins in me, that might help. Also stopped drinking completely to try to help with that. Neither have really helped so much. I still find myself quite tired after training. So I don't know how good these things actually are, but.
So I mean,
now,
sorry, Chris, go ahead. Sorry, I just saw you pop up. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, Grant, the main question I want to ask is, when it comes down to the last fight that you had, obviously we know how phenomenal it was, how much of a crowd reaction you got back home. Well, actually, no, that was Lourenco, but still, point of the matter is, you got a lot of people really hyped up after your bout that happened at the RIZIN show that you were on. Do you feel that, not saying you're trying to look past this fight against Yamashita, this grappling match, but do you think that if you do get the opportunity to fight for RIZIN again, you will no doubt have, higher expectations because of what happened?
Yeah, I think the expectations will be quite high, and with those expectations, also the opponent will be quite high level. Actually, speaking of RIZIN Trigger, we've got the brutal and sensational fighter Hikaru Yoshino coming on this show in a little bit. And also on that card, we've got Takumi Suzuki versus Akira. Now, Takumi Suzuki, if you guys know, the green-haired lightweight out of Bonsai Jiu-Jitsu. At the press conference last week, he was saying that he's not going to go challenge his master for the title belt of RIZIN. So anyone who wants to go fight for that belt has to get through him first. And my ears perked up, and I looked at that green-haired guy, and I thought, like, yo, me and you next. Me and you next.
Oh, well, I want to add on to, I know, remember, we once talked about that, about weight cutting to 155. Well, I'm presuming that if you were to have the fight, you probably wouldn't do it at 155. Would you come to like some sort of catch weight agreement, 160, something along those lines?
No, it's time to make championship weight. It's time to do 71 kilos. And I would do it. Yeah. You know, it's tough because with the weight classes in MMA, they, from the lightweights, they start going up in increments of 10 pounds. And then as soon as you get to feather to lightweight, it jumps by 15 pounds to welter, 15 pounds to middle, and then 20 pounds to light heavyweight. So these guys like me, Diego Sanchez, Cowboy, Kevin Lee, heck, even Nate Diaz would probably be a great 165 pounder. Like Khabib's new promotion, Eagle FC, they created the 165 pound division. You know, I think that's great for this sport. And I kind of wish they had an in-between weight class with an actual title belt instead of doing catch weights where there is no title belt, you know. But yeah, to get a chance at the belt and to get serious about MMA, if I'm serious, I'm fighting at lightweight.
Gotcha.
True. Think of it. Do you think that there will come a time where, like you said, Eagle FC has this new 165 pound weight class, and by extension, many other promotions out in California, like King of the Cage, for instance, has that weight class as well. But do you think that there will come a time where eventually, as the popularity of 165 pounds or 75 kilos or super lightweight, whatever the people call it, do you think that that eventually will become championship weight as well, instead of just having to drop down to 155 or boost up to 170?
You know what? My hope and dream is that, yes, that will become a championship weight at some time. But, you know, none of this can be predicted. Like years ago, how many of us would have said that there would be women fighting in the UFC, much less like multiple divisions of women headlining cards and stuff, you know? And then that happened back in like 2013 or whatever that was. So anything is possible. And I really hope that they do make a 165 pound division.
Exactly.
So Grant, actually going back to your art match, I'm curious to know, are you familiar with your opponent at all? In any way, have you seen him compete or heard of him? I couldn't find that much information about him.
Yeah, no, when I got the name, I did my due diligence and did some research, found some of his matches on YouTube, but I hadn't heard of him before. He's from Fukuoka. That's kind of far out there, so yeah.
I mean, like with somebody with that you don't know about, is that I don't want to say intimidating, but do you feel that it puts you at some sort of disadvantage or maybe even an advantage? Sorry, just to interrupt. The flip side, can probably find much more on you and find out whatever he wants in terms of your BJJ strengths and weaknesses by researching you, versus you trying to find information about him.
Dude, if I was gonna fight me and I looked me up, I'd probably get scared. So like the stuff that I have out there on YouTube, first of all, what I put on my own channel is only like the fights that I'm winning and destroying people. I never put up anything in which I'm losing. So that's one thing. And like, it doesn't even matter because everyone knows me as a guy who like takes down and passes the guard and takes the back and stuff. But like I pull guard too to throw things. Like seriously, these guys aren't going to know what I'm going to do if I'm going to go take down or if I'm going to pull or whatever. So yeah, I'm not worried about that kind of stuff at all. I don't think too hard about that stuff. He's a black belt. He's in my weight class. That's really all I needed to know to accept the fight. And then after I accepted the fight, I kind of looked him up a little bit to do my research. And yeah, I think it'll be a good match. I think everyone who can should tune in. You'll see a submission for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever still, or I don't know, at any point while doing jujitsu, you ever get nervous before a fight, or do you still get nervous? Was that ever something that ever happened with you, or did you just happen to just stroll into these matches just like another? It's like a walk in the park.
I don't get nervous anymore. There were times I used to get really nervous, especially when I was a kid. Yeah, to the point where like my stomach would hurt and stuff, and I hated competing. But whenever I stepped onto the mat and the match started, all of that would go away immediately. So that's how I kind of, and eventually after competing a lot, yeah, I started to not get nervous. Sometimes if like with RIZIN, like my stomach started to hurt right before the fight, right before the walkout. Like I felt like I needed to go to the bathroom, but and so that was kind of freaking me out a little bit, but I wasn't nervous about the fight itself. Yeah, it's weird. Don't really get nervous anymore. No.
I mean, kind of think of it, Grant. If you really had to get nervous, you probably would have shown it in the walkout, but still, you know, it doesn't matter how nervous you get as long as you perform well, you know? Hello?
Well,
I mean, you look at guy when he's walking out and he's in the cage. Yeah, you guys there? Can you hear me?
oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. We lost you for a brief second.
Like Jose Aldo, he's one of the best fighters ever. And when you see him in the walkouts and in the cage before the fights, like the dude looks so nervous. He's just like staring at the ground, shoulders hunched. But then when it starts, he's a freaking monster, you know? So yeah, exactly what you said, Christian. If you get nervous, it doesn't matter as long as you perform. So
I'm also curious to know as well, because now that you're a black belt, MMA fighter, and now you're a coach. You're juggling so much stuff at this point. I'm curious. So, like, what keeps you going and doing all this stuff? Is there some sort of motivating factor, personal, mental, emotional, that you're still here at the ripe old age of before 30?
yeah, you know what, man? It's kind of crazy because like back when I was a purple belt, I was winning everything and I didn't have a sponsor. And I was like, if I could just get a sponsor, my life would be so much better. Then I got that. And then it's like, oh, if I could get a job that was related to jiu-jitsu, that could be awesome. And then I got that. And it's like, oh, if I had a girlfriend, then my life would be perfect. That's the only thing that's missing. Then I got that. Then it's like, okay, now a gym. If I had a gym, then my life would be perfect. And then I've kind of gotten everything that I really ever desired. So right now, I'm at a point where I don't have a huge burning desire to achieve the next step in my life right now. Up until recently, like, yeah, I was gunning for MMA. I was gunning for my gym and stuff. So right now I've kind of settled down and I want to focus on what I'm doing now, like what I have around me, rather than getting new things, and just kind of strengthen what I have now. And then somewhere along the way, like obviously something again will come up, whether it's more MMA or fatherhood, dare I say, who knows, you know, the next thing will come up eventually. And yeah, like it just keeps life interesting. And when I'm busy, that's what keeps me going. It's being busy. Yeah, I'm not someone who can procrastinate or just not do work. So if there's always work to do, then I just have to do it. And yeah, that's my fuel, I suppose.
Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. I have some BJJ related competition questions. I'm really eager to know.
Sure.
From you competed as long as you have. Has there ever been an opportunity, or I should say, has there ever been a situation where you had to, I guess, injure somebody to end the match, like they went and tapped to an arm bar or a
Yeah.
bar or something?
My first BJJ match ever at white belt. I took the dude down, like put him in an Americana, and then like his arm popped like crazy, and I let go. And the ref like didn't. I think he tapped. It popped. He tapped. I let go. The ref didn't see the tap, and didn't stop the match. And then the dude kept on struggling and like attacking after that. So I cranked the Americana even harder, and it popped like way more. And then he tapped, and the ref saw it. And the other day I was in like a small grappling match, and like the guy was kind of just a little bit lower level than me, just kind of there for the fun of it, you know, just a normal BJJ participant. And I put a heel hook on him without cranking, kind of waiting for him to tap, and he rolled and tried to get out, doing like weird funky stuff, you know. And so the second time I put the heel hook on, like I had to crank that shit to get the tap, you know. And there's like, yeah, footlocks and stuff. Sometimes you do like pop and crack these guys' joints, like pulling the turkey leg off the turkey. That's what it sounds like. I mean, it's not like, yeah, in training, I don't do that, obviously. But in tournaments, I do it as hard as fast as I can, in most circumstances, unless I know I'm completely way better than the person. But that only happens at like these small local things.
So that one that you just talked about, the heel hook, was that for the one that was in the cage and that was
Yeah, that was in the cage. Yeah. That was 2 days ago. Just this little local thing I decided to do just because it was, you know, kind of fun. And yeah.
The only way you and I think Yuki Submission with like the two names on that one, I think, or involved. I think
He didn't fight. He was there, but he didn't fight.
Oh, okay. So
It
that's why
he, Kamikubo Shuya, who fights for one, was there.
Mhm.
He's like on a 6-fight win streak and 1 championship right now. He's a wrestler. I actually did grapple him at the event, and it went all 5 minutes to a draw. And yeah, that was that. That was nice.
What's the worst injury you've ever gotten from BJJ?
I'm pretty lucky, like small stuff, cauliflower ear, like fingers, you know, minor tears in the shoulder, like the labrum, back pain. I got back pain, but those are all small, so I've been quite lucky. The biggest injuries I've had were just my LCLs on both knees. I've done both of them, but those are like grade 2 sprains, so I haven't had surgery. Yeah, just the LCLs. Those are the biggest ones, I would say.
Is that like one of the biggest fears is an ACL, MCL injury?
No, I've never injured my MCL or ACL, and I'm quite conscious with heel hooks and with 50-50 and these positions where my knee, like lasso guard and stuff, where my knee could be compromised. My fight style has changed so much over the years, like because of injuries and because of being conscious and aware of injuries. So I'm training the hardest that I ever have in my life right now, with the least amount of injuries, because yeah, I'm aware of like what situations cause injuries and how to prevent them.
Gotcha. Oh, just not to let you know as well, as the coach of Yoshino-san, he has not entered. He's not here yet, so he's more than welcome to enter whenever he.
Okay, let me bring him in, guys.
Okay. Because I thought he was going to come in at like 7:20. I was like, uh-oh, he's not here.
I mean, come to think of it, if he has enough time, you know, if he doesn't have much time to waste, what am I trying to say? If he doesn't want to waste too much time, let them take all the time in the world, you know?
Grant, actually, also another question for you while we wait for him. As a coach, I'm curious to know what do you are trying. What are you trying to instill in your students? The ones like a Yoshino or forgetting the other gentleman who fought had competed at the same card you did. Forgetting his name. The blue belt, light feather.
Yuya.
Yuya, yes. What was it that you try to? Sorry, go ahead.
So the easy thing to do, the tempting thing to do, is to make everyone like me, is to just teach them my style and push that on them. But the proper thing to do is to look at what they have already, their body type, their mindset towards fighting. Are they aggressive or are they comfortable with writing out a cozy decision? You know, which one do they like? Me, I like to get submissions. I like to end the fight fast. Not everyone can do that. There's a lot of risk involved in going for submissions. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that risk. They'd much rather like get some points and win a decision. And I do that a lot too. In high level competition, I do just get points and write out the decision. But you look at what they have as far as their skill set goes, their physicality and their mentality, and then you just try to augment that in the best way for them. And so that's what I do with my coaching.
Gotcha. So do you got any other students that will be competing on the card? I think I saw one other as well. That's from Alma.
That guy, he's a different. Yes, there's 4 Alma Fight gyms in Japan, and mine is Alma Fight Gym Life.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, I just saw.
Yeah,
Alma.
man. Like I chose Life because it's your life, and yeah, there's a long story behind the name, but anyway, there's like other Alma Fight gyms, and that other guy you saw is probably from a different one. Okay. But yeah, so Yoshino, I gave him the link. I think he's on his way in. He's trying to get in. So just give him like a few, maybe like 1 more minute or something.
Yeah. So while we have some minutes with you, how do you predict that your fight will go? As you said, you like to finish. Do you have a particular prediction for this match?
You know, I don't have a particular prediction. Like with MMA, I could always tell you guys it'll be the rear naked choke. But for jiu-jitsu, there's like so much variation. Man. Okay, well, fuck, I could probably just tell you guys the submission and then just try to go for it in the fight.
Nah. Don't tell us a damn thing about what you're going to do during the fight. Just, say, I'm going to show you guys, just how much of a top level jiu-jitsu practitioner I can be. Because the last thing we want is for anybody to listen to this podcast, find out your game plan, and then foil it.
That is a great attitude. But, for this fight, I have extreme confidence. And to anyone out there listening, hear me now. I will roll for the knee bar, and I will finish with the knee bar.
Oh yes,
Mystic Mac, because I predict.
So yes, just so I know, knee bars are allowed, but heel hooks are not, right? For this,
no heel hooks in the gi. But knee bar, I'm calling it right here. The fight will finish. It will end with a knee bar.
Gotcha.
Again, can we quote you on that?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Grant, did you see Imanari's
Imanari roll ecstasy?
That's the word I was trying to think of. Ecstasy. Is that something you'd ever be interested in doing? Kind of like combat?
Hell no. They offered me a fight on that, and I refused.
They did. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I do not take strikes. for pennies. If there's strikes involved, I want to get paid. So I would not risk, even with the open hand. Like, did you see one of the guys on that fight?
Yeah,
like got a broken
Kuramoto.
orbital.
Kuramoto's opponent got like
strikes.
his nose broken or his like eye all
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah, like that shit is crazy. And he probably got paid like $200 to show up or something like that. So I'm like, hell no. Okay, we got him. Our boy, Hikaru Yoshino, fighting at RIZIN Trigger. My good friend and student, judoka, MMA fighter. I think he's coming in.
Okay.
Not connected to audio.
I have him. I have iPhone here.
Yeah, that's definitely him. He's iPhone.
He's got no audio sign, so his audio might. I don't even know if it's fully connected because it doesn't say.
I mean, come to think of it, Grant, can you get him to get on video?
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
Mr. Yoshino,
Okay,
get this guy.
he's connecting to audio.
あれ、僕入ってますか、今。
Yoshinoさん、元気ですか？
あ、元気です。はじめまして。
Okay, to get
Yeah,
Yoshino-san.
Meet you.
はじめまして。Nice to meet you.
Ajimashite. Yeah, Yoshino-san, thank you for your time talking to us. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
お願いします。
My first question for you, sir. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a judoka. Well, how did you get into MMA?
はい、吉野くんは柔道家だと知ってて、まずちょっと自己紹介お願いしていいですか？で、どうやって柔道から MMA に移したのか？
はい。吉野ひかるです。僕はバックボーンが柔道ベースで、MMA に入った理由は、もともと中学生ぐらいの頃から MMA がめっちゃ好きで、YouTube とか見てて、その時は日本の格闘技はあんまりテレビでやってない時期で、YouTube とか UFC とか、いっぱい昔のプライドとかドリームの映像を見て、もう中学生の頃から MMA ファイターになるって決めて、高校生までずっと柔道をやってました。で、高校3年生の冬に MMA を始めました。
So ever since he was a junior high schooler, with his backbone in judo, he was really interested in MMA. Like he saw it on YouTube. And back at that time, there actually wasn't a lot of fights going on in Japan. So he was watching like UFC fights and also old fights from Pride and Dream. And then in high school, so at that point, he decided to be a fighter and then continued to do judo until graduating high school. And in the winter of his last year of high school, he began to officially train MMA.
Gotcha. I know, well, my research has gotten me that you have two nicknames. I've seen the Gentleman and the Painter. I'm just curious to know which is the correct one, and for the correct one, how did you get that nickname?
吉野、2つのファイター名できたんだけど、
はい。
ザ・ペンターとザ・ジェントルマンだけど、
はい。
どっちが本当のニックネームで、そのニックネームの、由来を教えてください。
どっちが本当？まだ今ちょっと考え中なんですけど、ペインターは昔ペンキの仕事やりながら格闘家やってたので、ペインターっていうのと、ジェントルマンは通りです。柔らかい男です。なんていうんですか。
So, yeah, he's actually still trying to work on his nickname, but in the past, he has been given those two nicknames before. The first one, the Painter, is because he used to work part-time as a painter. And then the second one, the Gentleman, it's kind of a play on words because it's like gentleman, but also in judo, you translate judo, it's translated as the gentle way. So he's kind of like the gentle man. It's like a shout out to his judo backbone, you know?
Sorry, when you say paint, are you talking like Bob Ross? Are we talking like, I don't know?
No, man, like walls.
Oh, okay. I was like part-time painter, Bob Ross, or actual like well, I guess blue collar painting or walls. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we talking blue collar.
Gotcha. So let's talk about your fight coming up against Endo Daisuke at RIZIN Trigger the second. Yoshino-san, I'm curious to know, do you know, are you familiar with your opponents in any way?
まあ、吉野、今回、ライジントリガーに出場するけど、対戦相手について何か調べたことがある？対戦相手についてどんな印象がある？
動画見たっすけど、もう10年ぐらい前の試合なんで、そんなに気にしてなくて、まあ相手のイメージは結構オールラウンダーなんですけど、打撃でガンガン攻めてくるタイプで、で、もう39歳でベテランでおじさんなんですけど、まあ3連勝中でその勢いのあるなんかガンガン攻めてくるスタイルで勝ってるので、結構まあ年齢関係なく強い選手なのかなっていうふうに勢いがあって思ってます。
So yeah, he's obviously researched the guy. The guy's on a 3-fight win streak. He comes to fight. He's well-rounded in his skill set, and he's got aggressive striking, which has led him to win his past 3 fights. That being said, he's 39 years old, and Yoshino is completely ready to have a good fight and put on a show.
What do you see as your advantages going into this fight against Endo-san?
今回の試合に対して吉野君の、強いところ、吉野君の強みはどういうところなんですか？
多分僕の強みは今回の試合に対して、まあ、いつも通り多分、まあ、テイクダウンの強さが際立って、多分相手に何もせずに1ラウンドでパウンダーとか1本するんじゃないかなと思ってます。
So with regards to this match in particular, his takedown ability will come in handy. And he predicts that in the first round, he will be able to put his opponent on the ground and finish the fight with a TKO or submission.
Did you say the first round?
Yes, he did say the first round. Okay. There he say the first round.
Okay, gotcha. So I know that you weren't always at Alma Gym with your coach Grant. I'm curious to know what led you to come to Alma Gym for your fighting career.
まあ、吉野君はずっとアルマファイトジムライフじゃないって知ってるけど、なぜ今回アルマファイト、友達のグラントのジムのアルマファイトジムに来ましたか？
それはグラント君のことをリスペクトしてるからです。
That's because...
あとはそうですね。そう。
いいよ。
あとあんまり大きいジムとかに入ったりすると縛りがあったりとか自由に動けなかったりとかそういうのが嫌ですけど、グラント君のところなら大丈夫っていうのもちょっと思ったからです。うまくやってくると思ったので、あと1回失敗してるのでもうちゃんとしたいし、そういうところには入りたくなかったですね。
So he is my friend, so that was a factor, but also he's hesitant to join such big gyms where fighters are bound to certain rules and obligations. He has done that once in the past and it didn't go well for him. So with my gym, he knows that there's no real problems like that, and that impacted his decision to, make it official.
Okay, I see. And so with this fight, are you doing anything differently in your training? Are you focusing on one aspect? Is your training the same? Can you talk a little bit about that?
吉野君、今回の試合に関して特別に何か、練習方法を取り入れましたか？何か練習はどのようにやってるんですか？
いや、特にはあんまり変わってないですけど、いつも通りですけど、スパーで言うなら、グラント君たちと一緒に練習するときは、僕が元立ちで5分3ラウンド、4ラウンド、グラント君とかウェルターの子2人とか、バンタムの子1人で交代で回してスパーリングするので、 体力を使いますし、きついスパーリングができてるなと思います。
Well, he hasn't really changed much in like specifically for this match. The biggest thing he's been doing recently is rounds upon rounds without rest, but everybody who he's going against in sparring is resting. So it'll be like 3 guys rotating in on him. So he gets no rest, but everyone else is fresh, And a lot of the times, in order to really deal with his takedowns, we have to bring in welterweights because, bantamweights just cannot stop his takedowns. So in order to actually train, we got to bring in welterweights and have a spar against welterweights.
Oh, okay. Oh, Chris, I'm going to pass it off to you now.
Okay. Sorry for my lateness, everybody. But still, though, the main questions I want to ask are, first of all, when it comes down to facing off against Daisuke Endo, you obviously just said you have to face off against welterweights in order to spar, because Daisuke Endo is sort of like a bigger competitor. But do you feel as though facing off against those, bigger fighters, that it's going to help you face off against somebody like Endo, who's known for having bigger power?
吉野君はウェルター級選手と練習してるのをおっしゃったんですけど、遠藤大輔選手はちょっと階級の中で大きい方とも考えられるので、吉野君は大きい選手と練習するときに、もし試合で大きい人とやるのがあるから、そのためにそういう練習してるんですか？大きい人とやって、どんなベネフィット、どんないいところがありますか？
純粋に大きい人とやったら、バンタムの選手全然怖くなるっていうのと、普段やっぱみんな怪我するからやれないですけど、僕体強くて大きい人とスパーリングできますし、それで勝手に自分の体のフィジカルも強くなったりとかするので、そうですね、僕としては大きい人とやる練習は強くなるには近道かなと思ってやってます。
So, to put it simply, he feels that when he trains with the big guys, when it comes down to fighting someone in his own weight class, it gives him a huge boost of confidence. And also, a lot of people avoid training with guys out of their weight classes because of the risk of injury, different body sizes, just injuries can happen. But he's very physically strong and doesn't get injured. So, yeah, he feels like training with the big guys is a huge asset to his overall game, including physical strength, because the physical strength gains you get from working with someone bigger than you are quite high.
I see. Wakaimasen. But still, when it comes to Daisuke Endo, have you studied anything about him or anything about his game plan coming into this fight?
わかりました。大輔遠藤大輔について何か研究したことありますか？
研究したことは特にないですけど、右のストレートパンチが強くて結構飛び込んでくるので、それだけは気をつけようと思ってます。それ以外は僕の方が上回ってるかなって思ってます。
He hasn't really researched a whole lot. Obviously, he's done his due diligence, but he's only really concerned about the right hand. He's got a good straight right. But if he can avoid that, he believes that in all other aspects of the fight, he is much higher level.
I see. And when it comes down to this particular fight, obviously this will be your RIZIN debut. Obviously your teammates with Mr. Bogdanove. Obviously he's fought for RIZIN before, but do you think that if you have a great performance in this, your RIZIN debut, that you will have the opportunity to fight for them again?
今回はね、吉野さんのRIZINデビューなんですけど、チームメイトのボグダノフも出たこともありますし、今回吉野さんは いい勝ち方したら、また来人に呼ばれると思っていますか？
思ってます。とりあえず今回は僕が勝つための舞台でライジンが用意してくれると思っているので、とりあえずいい勝ち方して、そうですね、判定じゃダメだと思ってて、そうですね。勝ってライジンで自分の居場所を確立したいなと思ってます。
Yes, absolutely. This matchup he believes was built as a chance for him to shine and for him to show what he's got. And so he will go out there and give it his best to not let it go to a decision. He thinks a decision he's viewing a decision as a loss right now. So he's going out there to finish, and he's going out there to put on like an impactful performance and get called again to the next RIZIN show, and really solidify his spot in the RIZIN roster at bantamweight.
Okay, cool. Andrew, can you finish up?
Oh yes, well, so you get a big win, Yoshino-san. Fight goes exactly how you wanted it to go. Is there anybody in mind who you would maybe like to fight next? That you feel comfortable, saying yes, I would like to fight maybe this person or that person. Do you have a name in mind?
吉野さん、例えば、この大きな試合でいい勝ち方して、すべてうまくいきましたと言ったら、次はこの人とやりたいっていう人はいますか？
誰と戦いたいっていう気持ちは特にないんですけど、ライジンのバンタム級トーナメント出たメンバーはやっぱ注目されてるし、みんな強いと思ってるので、これに勝ったらその辺の選手とやって倒していきたいですね。
So, he's the kind of guy who really doesn't mind. He doesn't call guys out. He doesn't care. The one thing he did say, though, is the RIZIN Bantamweight Tournament Grand Prix that they did last year. He'd be happy to fight any one of those fighters because they have garnered a lot of attention in the media, and they're also very high-level fighters. And that's the kind of fight that he's interested in.
Who do you think, who would you consider like at the top of the bantamweight division at this point in RIZIN? Would you say Ogikubo-san, Azukuro-san, or maybe even Horiguchi-san?
吉野君はRIZIN選手の中でバンタム級1位誰だと思ってますか？
堀口教授です。
Horiguchi Kyoji. Kyoji Horiguchi.
Of course. Is that, do you ever, have you, actually, I think you have fought in the US before, right? In Hawaii, is that correct?
吉野、ハワイで試合したことは
ハワイはないで
あり
す。
ますか？
シンガポールしかないです、海外。
Yeah, outside of Japan, he's only fought in Singapore.
Oh, my bad. I'm curious to know, would you ever like the opportunity to like fight in America? Like for a Bellator, if that ever came up?
吉野さんは、もし機会があればアメリカ、ベラトールなどで試合したいですか？
めっちゃしたいです。
Yes, he'd love to.
And I'm curious to know, and you can be as completely honest, or you can be teacher's pet as much as you would like. What is it like having such a tough but fair sensei like Bogdanove-san?
吉野さんは今から、
はい、
すごい誠実に答えていいですし、全然ごますりしていいけど、
はい、
こんなに厳しい先生がいるのにどう思ってますか？はい、こんな厳しいボグダノフ先生。
いやー、そんな厳しいと思ってないですけど、なんだろうな。でも、なんていうんですか、技術面に関しては、柔術家ですけど、MMA 経験があって、そうですね、結構 MMA 的なことを考えて寝技をしっかり教えてくれるので、すごい頼りにしますし、強いので教えてもらうことにも説得力がありますね。
So basically, he's a jiu-jitsu fighter with MMA experience. So when he's teaching his jiu-jitsu, he does it from MMA standpoint, which helps for his training. And also he's got the skill set to back up his teachings. He's tough. So that is also a huge factor in reliance and kind of dependability.
Gotcha. Before you go, both of you, Grant and Yoshino-san, we just want to give you an opportunity to both plug your sponsors, SNS, and as well for your opponents. If you have any last comments for them, the floor is for both of you.
Okay, I'll keep it quick, guys. I'm at Grant Bogdanove, just my full name, no spaces, no punctuation, nothing. At Grant Bogdanove on Instagram and Twitter. Twitter is only in Japanese for my account, but yep, you can find my gym, Alma Fight Gym Life in Tokyo, Setagaya, Japan. Feel free to stop by, anyone who's listening. Yep, that's all. Yoshino, だから最後にね、スポンサー、SNS、自分がファンに送りたいメッセージとか、何でもいいから、なんか宣伝したいのあればどうぞ。
そうですね。今まで僕はみんなRIZINに出てなかったので、みんなからの注目をあんまり浴びることがなかったんですけど、実力は僕は本物だと思っているので、今回の試合で吉野ひかる強いぞっていう試合を見せたいと思うので、応援よろしくお願いします。
Okay, so he hasn't fought on RIZIN before. He might not be known by the RIZIN fans, but this is a message to the fans out there. He wants them to tune in on February 23rd and watch him fight and remember the name, Hikaru Yoshino, that he's a tough, badass motherfucker. So please tune in. I'm not a professional translator, okay, to put some extra spice on that, but yeah, he's a very humble guy. He says, please tune in. You can also check him out on Twitter and Instagram. You can find him through my profile on following or something, yeah.
Or, you know what, I guess I can go ahead and say it right now. Y'all can follow Hikaru Yoshino at Hikaru MMA. Right?
Hell yeah. Thank you.
I see. But still, one more question I want to ask Mr. Yoshino before we bid adieu to both of you. And that is, and I already asked you this, Mr. Bogdanove, Grant, but still though, let's just say, obviously you're a painter, you're a gentleman, but let's just say if you weren't a professional fighter or a jiu-jitsu or judo practitioner, what would probably be your backup plan? What would be your plan B as far as making a living?
That's a good question. 吉野君、最後に、あなたはペインター、あなたはジェントルマン、あなたは総合格闘家なんだけど、もしもね、総合格闘技ができなくなった時とかに、もし総合格闘家じゃなかったら何をしてますか？
多分普通に工場みたいなところで働いて家庭を持って平凡な生活を送ってると思います。
So if he wasn't a fighter, he would be probably working in a factory with a small family and living a normal life.
I like how you say a normal life, implying that this is what he's currently doing now is out of the ordinary, which maybe it is. I don't know, maybe fighting is a little bit of out of the ordinary life.
In our rigid society that we live in over here, being a fighter is quite out of the ordinary.
Okay, that's a good point. You are in Japan, so rules are different. Rules and expectations are different. But Grant, Yoshino-san, thank you both so much. We are both looking forward to your individual competitions. Wish you the best of luck in both of them, and we hope to see you guys competing again, and hope that we can get you both back on the show sometime.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you for the time. Always a pleasure. Yoshino, 試合頑張ってくださいね。今回お時間ありがとうございましたって。
はい。 ます。
ありがとうございます。
ください。